Let me get just a little sip, please. Thank you. Welcome. We're glad that you're here. Thank you for tuning in. Over time, if you belong to a church, Christians see other Christians, warts and all, and it's easy to get disillusioned. Until we realize that the church is a divine institution with human flaws. But we never outgrow the need for fellowship and the strength that the church supplies. Don't neglect it. If you're in church, stay in there, hang in there. And even though sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's hard, keep trying. I heard a person tell me just the other day, which really kind of broke my heart. But the statement was made, if it were not for my mom and dad, I'd never set foot in this church building. That kind of hurt me. If it wasn't for my mom and dad, I'd never be here. In the book of Malachi, and of course you know the passage in Hebrews chapter 10, 24 and following that talks about not forsaking. Jim came home after a hard week's work. And he said to his wife, "Sweetheart, let's go somewhere this weekend where we're not known or recognized." And she said, "Okay, Jim, let's go to church. Let's go to church." In Scripture, it is clear that the church attendance is important. And Jesus set the example. Every Sabbath, he was in a synagogue. That was his custom. And when he went into a town, he looked for a synagogue where he would teach, worship, and teach others lessons in life. The Bible encourages us not to neglect regular worship. Hebrews 10:25. Don't turn away. Don't give up. Don't go back to Judaism. And there are many today who are still doing this. You see, maybe the church here is not as glamorous as other churches. Maybe to some extent we're boring. Whenever I hear the sermon was boring, I want to shout, why don't you examine your heart? It may not be the sermon. It may be your heart. Why don't you look at your own heart? Don't drop out of church for any reason. And when people do drop out, it's usually a reflection of their own spiritual temperature. Maybe it's worse to attend and your heart not to be in it. Maybe lukewarm is still the culprit. I wish you were hot, or I wish you were cold, but your lukewarmness is making me sick. In the days of Malachi, the prophet and religion had reached an all-time low. The people continued attending church services, but true worship had ceased. It was not vital. It was not meaningful at all. So the prophet described them as attending church by saying to them, your hearts are not in it. And here's what they were saying to each other. What a burden is this? Malachi chapter 1, verse 13. What a burden is this? What time will it be over? Do we get out of here and do some things that are important? I'm bored. Let's get to the eating hole before the other churches get there. This was taking place in the life of Israel at this time. Their faith was cold. Their life was filled with apathy. They couldn't care less. They were indifferent. They were going through the ritual, the motions, etc. They were playing church. And they had become cynical and godless. That's what happens when your heart's not in it. You become cynical. But even the priests, the leaders were unscriptural. The leaders were skeptical. Lukewarmness. When a person backslides, their attitude, their heart, their sacrifices go to the wall. What were they doing? God told them, this is what I want you to do when it comes to sacrifices. But they were bringing the blind and the crippled and the diseased animals. And they were saying to God, here. They were bringing the rotten fruit and said, here God, here's your sacrifice. God demanded the best. But they were bringing the garbage, the stuff that you would throw away. And the people brought the worst, the maimed, the diseased, the blind, and the priests accepted it. They went along with it. They encouraged the practices. Let me say one thing before we finish. God doesn't need your leftovers. God doesn't need your hand-me-downs. God created everything in the whole world. The world belongs to Him. He doesn't need your withered fruit and your maimed animals. He demands the best. King of kings, Lord of lords, He demands the best. May God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week.